am Dr. Mohammad Ruhul Amin, working as Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Ophthalmology. Today I will discuss about the questions on uveitis. First of all, what is uveitis? Uveitis may be defined as the inflammation of the uveal tract. You know the uveal tract includes the iris, ciliary body and the choroid. So, the inflammation of the iris, ciliary body and the choroid as a whole, we tell it uveitis. Next question is, what is the anatomical classification of the uveitis? Anatomical classification, it may be classified as anterior uveitis, intermediate uveitis and the posterior uveitis. Anterior uveitis, that is the iritis, intermediate uveitis, that is the cyclitis, and the posterior uveitis is the choroiditis. Another classification, you may ask, what is the pathological classification of the uveitis? Pathological classification, it may be classified as granulomatous uveitis and non-granulomatous uveitis. This is the pathological classification. Next question, you may ask, what are the usual complaints of a uveitis patient, or with what complaint patient may come to you in the outdoor department? Usually patient come with the pain and dimness of vision in the affected eye, and there is they may give the history of same attack in the previous days, with the redness of the eyeball, particularly around the cornea. রুগীরা তোমাকে বলবে যে আমার চোখের মনির চতুর্দিকে লাল হয়ে যায় এবং চোখ ব্যথা করে, এবং এটা আমার কিছুদিন পরপরই হয়, এবং দেখা গেছে অনেক সময় যে হয়তো এক সময় রাইট আইতে হলো, এরপরে কিছুদিন পরে লেফট আইতে হলো, এইভাবে অল্টারনেটলি হইতে পারে, অথবা ইট মে অকার ইন দ্য সেম আই। And you may ask, what are the signs of uveitis, or what are the signs you will get on examination of a case of uveitis? If you think as like about visual acuity, it will be diminished in case of uveitis, and if you examine the ocular movement, it will be normal. In the lids are usually normal, there is no soiling or edema. In the conjunctiva you will get the ciliary congestion. In the cornea you will get the keratic precipitate, which may be old keratic precipitate or maybe recent keratic precipitate, and you can see it with the help of slit lamp examination. And the sclera is usually normal. In the anterior chamber you may get the cells and flare in the anterior chamber. In the iris usually lost its normal pattern, is usually muddy color, and in the pupil you will get there is constriction of the pupil with the sluggish in reaction. You may get the posterior synechia. You may see in the lens and in the anterior lens capsule you may get the pigments just like in a ring form, which indicate the previous attack of uveitis with the formation of posterior synechia. On digital examination for the intraocular pressure, you may get the pressure may be normal or high, or sometimes there may be acute shutdown of the ciliary body in case of uveitis, and the pressure may fall, and the lacrimal sac area is usually normal. So your provisional diagnosis will be uveitis. Another question you may ask from uveitis, like what are the causes of uveitis? You may classify it as exogenous cause, endogenous cause. Exogenous cause, like that may be penetrating injury. There may be endogenous cause, like there is spread of infection to the uveal tract from tuberculosis, syphilis or toxoplasmosis. There may be allergic reaction, that the bacterial allergy or lens protein may cause allergic reaction. In case of extracapsular cataract extraction may lead to uveitis, and there will be autoimmune reaction due to hypersensitivity to autogenous tissue components as in rheumatoid arthritis or and ankylosing spondylitis. Those are HLA-B27 or HLA-B5 positive. HLA-B5 is in Behçet's disease. There is autoimmune reaction. I already discussed the anatomical classification of the uveitis. Another classification is the pathological classification of the uveitis. Now, some explanatory question may ask to you, why there is ciliary congestion. Ciliary congestion, it is due to the inflammation of the ciliary body. Answer will be that it is due to the inflammation of the ciliary body. Another question you may ask, why there is constriction of the pupil. It is due to the toxin X, due to the action of the toxin both on the sphincter and dilator muscles, but sphincter muscle is more stronger, so that there is constriction of the pupil. Why there is sluggish reaction of the pupil? It is due to edema of the iris and due to posterior synechiae. And why there is muddy color of the iris? It is due to the accumulation of the fluid and exudates over the surface of the iris, crypts and furrows. So the iris crypts and furrows becomes obliterated and pattern of the iris is lost. Why there is irregular pupil? As there is development of posterior synechiae, so that there is irregularities of the pupil. You may ask what is keratic precipitate. You may define as the keratic precipitate may be defined as the clumps of leukocytes adherent to the corneal endothelium. And what is the fate of keratic precipitate? It may coalesce to form the larger keratic precipitate. It is also called Marten fat keratic precipitate. It may become pigmented. It may be absorbed. So that keratic precipitate may be absorbed, may remains as pigmented keratic precipitate, or may coalesce and form the Marten fat keratic precipitate. So, what are the treatment we usually give in case of uveitis, particularly in anterior uveitis, that is the iridocyclitis. Patient may come with only iritis, may come with cyclitis, may come with iridocyclitis, that is iritis and cyclitis both are together. What are the treatment in the iridocyclitis? Treatment option is topical steroid. We usually give prednisolone. According to the severity of the disease, we give the doses of the steroid. If we see there is shutdown of the ciliary body, that is the eyeball becomes soft, pressure becomes down, intraocular pressure becomes down. In that case, we give in loading dose. We should give the steroid in loading dose. Usually we give 1 drop 4 times daily for 14 days, followed by 1 drop 2 times daily for next 14 days. Then the topical mydriatics. Why you give the topical mydriatics? We give topical mydriatics to dilate the pupil and to break the posterior synechiae, or to prevent the posterior synechiae, and also to paralyze the ciliary body, so there will be relief of pain. So the purpose of giving mydriatics in uveitis, three purpose. One is cycloplastic purpose, that is to relieve the pain. Number 2 is the to prevent the posterior synechiae. Number 3 is the if there is posterior synechiae, to break the posterior synechiae. Next question we may ask what is the other name of breaking of the posterior synechiae with the cycloplasmic drug? It is also called medical synechialysis. That is the lysis of the posterior synechiae with the medication is called medical synechialysis. Then we give sometimes we give the subconjunctival injection of the steroid mydriatics if there is 360-degree posterior synechiae. If you see the patient is come to you in the outpatient department and you see there is 360-degree posterior synechiae, in that case you should give the mydriatics in the outpatient department, both tropicamide or phenylephrine combination plus atropine. All the mydriatics you should give and see what happened. That is there is complete breaking of the posterior synechiae with these 3 drugs or not. If there is no partial breaking, and in that case you should give the subconjunctival injection of the atropine and steroid. Usually we give the combination of steroid 0.5 ml, that is dexamethasone or usually give the dexamethasone 0.5 ml plus atropine 0.5 ml plus lidocaine 2% 0.5 ml. We give subconjunctivally. Sometimes we give the long acting steroid, that is long acting steroid like triamcinolone acetate or methylprednisolone in the orbital floor. According to the severity of the disease, we prescribe the steroid in orally in the dose of 1 milligram per kg body weight. We start the dose according to the weight of the patient. Like if you see the patient body weight is 60 milligram, then you should start with the 60 milligram daily for 3 to 5 days, then gradually you taper the dose. Say we usually give usually you get the cotton tablet in 20 milligram. So 60 milligram we need the 3 tablet. We give the 3 tablet in the morning after breakfast for 3 days. Then we gradually taper the dose, like 2.5 tablets for the next 3 days, then 2 tablets for next 3 days, then 1.5 tablet for next 3 days, then 1 tablet for next 3 days, then half tablet for next 3 days. In the we usually follow this regime, and sometimes you may need to give the systemic antibiotic if there is history of tuberculosis or syphilis. In that case you may need the treatment of the predisposing causes. Sometimes you may ask what will happen if you give the steroid for long time, as the uveitis is a chronic disease. If you give the long time, there may be formation of posterior subcapsular cataract. There may be rise of intraocular pressure. So during follow up, a case of chronic uveitis, you should see the intraocular pressure of the patient, and you should see the lens by slit lamp examination. Is there any appearance of opacity in the lens or not? You may ask what are the systemic diseases usually associated with the uveitis. So you may tell some like autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, Behçet's disease, these are most common diseases which are associated with uveitis, and infective disease like tuberculosis, syphilis, etc. Toxoplasmosis are also associated with the uveitis. Sometimes it is usually affect the posterior uvea, that is the posterior uveitis. Posterior uveitis usually most of the cases of the posterior uveitis are due to the toxoplasmosis and sometimes due to the tuberculosis. Another question you may ask, what are the complications of iridocyclitis? You may ask complications. I already mentioned the posterior synechiae is one of the most important complication. Number 2 is the if there is posterior synechiae, there may be, if there is 360-degree posterior synechiae, it is called seclusio pupillae. There may be occlusio pupillae. If the pupillary area is fully captured by the exudative membrane, then we tell it occlusio pupillae. If there is seclusio or occlusio pupillae, in that case the aqueous humor cannot come from the posterior chamber to the anterior chamber, so that there is accumulation of the aqueous humor in the posterior chamber. So there is ballooning of the iris. It is called iris bombay. Another complication is the iris bombay, that is the forward bowing of the peripheral iris as aqueous gets the blocked by seclusio pupillae, so that the anterior chamber becomes shallow and the angle of the anterior chamber becomes occluded, so that there is development of the secondary glaucoma. If this secondary glaucoma persists, then there is due to rise of pressure, there is the atrophy of the ciliary body, as ultimately the eyeball will become soft, and due to the continuous rise of intraocular pressure, there may be damage of the ganglion cells in the retina and result in the atrophy of the optic nerve. So another complication is the complicated cataract, and there is cystoid macular edema. It is due to the liberation of the toxin leading to macular edema, and phthisis bulbi. Another complication is phthisis bulbi due to the prolonged cyclitis. Due to the prolonged cyclitis, there is ciliary shutdown, or there is atrophy of the ciliary body, and so that there is less secretion of the aqueous humor and the eyeball becomes soft. This is called phthisis bulbi, and sometimes there is development of band shaped keratopathy. There is particularly seen in young children with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and another complication may occur in tractional retinal detachment due to the traction of the cyclitic membrane leading to the retinal detachment. Cyclitic membrane it usually occur behind the, it is the exudative membrane occur behind the lens in case of cyclitis, mostly in case of cyclitis. These are the usual complication of a case of uveitis. What are the treatment of the complications? If there is secondary glaucoma, we usually give tablet acetazolamide or in oral form, or we may give in the topical preparation of the carbonic anhydrase inhibitor. In the market, these are available in the form of dorzolamide or brinzolamide, and you can prescribe it in a dose of 1 to 3 times daily, or you may give the carbonic anhydrase inhibitor orally. According to the severity, you decide the dose of the acetazolamide. And another drug you may prescribe is the timolol maleate, 0.5% in a dose of 1 drop twice daily. Then if there is annular synechia, you do the iridectomy, or if there is iris bombae, you may do the 4-point iridotomy. We can do the laser iridotomy. We can do, we tell it laser PI, laser peripheral iridectomy. There, if you do the laser peripheral iridectomy, there is immediate relief of the intraocular pressure, because you will make a direct communication between the posterior chamber and the anterior chamber. So if there is annular synechia or the seclusion pupillae or occlusio pupillae, and there is development of the iris bombae, AC anterior chamber becomes shallow. In that case, you should give immediate, if it is available, laser PI. You should do the laser PI, and then there will be immediate relief of the condition. And if there is complicated cataract, in that case we remove the cataractous lens and it is replaced by the artificial lens. But in case of complicated cataract, you should control the uveitis and the patient should remain symptomless for at least 3 months before surgery, and you should give prophylactic steroid in the floor of the orbit at least 7 days before surgery, so that there will be less uveal reaction post-operatively. And during surgery you should you should do the surgery very meticulously, should not touch the iris repeatedly, or you should put the lens in the capsular bag. You should not give it in the sulcus. If you give it in the sulcus, there will post-operatively there will be iritis, and ultimately there may be development of UGH syndrome, uveitis, glaucoma, hyphema syndrome, if you give the lens in the sulcus, that is the posterior sulcus. So in uveitis, that is in the complicated cataract, in the management of complicated cataract, you should put the IOL intraocular lens in the bag positively. Otherwise, there will be problem post-operatively. These are the questions usually asked in case of uveitis. I think I covered the topics. So today here is the end of my lecture. Thank you all.